guess who shifted? Minasan, konnichiwa! Welcome back to another video. I shifted. This actually happened yesterday during school. Well, not really during school, but it was during my it was during my lunch period. So, whatchamacallit? During school, I take naps because for one of my classes, I don't have Zoom like at all because we just do our work online on this website called 𝓬𝓬𝓽𝓪. And oh my gosh, I can't breathe right now. I'm getting so excited for no reason. Okay, during lunch period, I don't eat lunch because I just don't like going downstairs when I'm nice and cozy in my bed or on my desk with a blanket, and I just don't want to move. So I took a nap during that time, and then I woke up again for my third period class, which is physics, and then I went to sleep again after that during my fourth period class since I didn't have class. And so I just took a nap. I woke up in between in increments, right? So what happened was I got really sleepy after physics because physics is hard as heck. So during the whole lecture, I just kind of like rested my head down a few times, closed my eyes for like 5 seconds, and then woke back up each time. So by the end of physics, I was super drowsy. So I decided, okay, since I don't have Zoom and I finished all my work for that class, I might as well take a nap. And that's what I did. And during that time, this is kind of weird because I took a nap before physics too. So I was still drowsy before that, and I was taking increments too with that because I kept waking up thinking that I had class and then going back to sleep when I realized that my alarm hadn't gone off yet. So at this time, I remember having a very vague dream. It was kind of weird. I don't really remember the details, but then all of a sudden I remember kind of becoming conscious of where I was and that, oh, I'm dreaming. I might as well try to shift somewhere instead of dreaming. So I imagined a portal in my dream, and I just remember jumping through it because I had the conscious thought of, okay, I know where I want to shift. I'm shifting to Gracefield House. I'm shifting to Gracefield House. And I just kept saying that to myself over and over as I ran in my dream and imagined some kind of portal opening up. And I just remember jumping through that portal. And then all of a sudden, everything just went dark. And I don't know why, but the details kind of got fuzzy here because I was tired still. Like, I was shifting, but I was tired. So I was really drowsy when everything was happening. And I remember opening my eyes. I was in a bed, but I couldn't really tell because I was just so tired. And I remember someone's arm being around me. And oh my gosh, I knew who it was straight off the bat. So I just kind of sat there with my eyes like half open, looking around, figuring out where I was. I couldn't really see where I was because I was not paying attention at all for some reason. And then I just remember the feel of the person's arm around me. You know how people do little spoon and big spoon? I've never done that in my life, by the way, so I would not know how it feels like. But in this moment, I felt like I have a lot of stuff on my mind all the time. So in this moment, when I was there, when I shifted to Gracefield House, my DR is called is from the Promised Neverland, based off of that. The whole plot follows season 1 and then follows the show. Someone is calling me.
What?
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
Ugh, you forgot. Oh my gosh. Someone forgot their towel. Anyway, in the moment where I began waking up in my dream reality, in my desired reality, the only thing I was conscious of was the person who was next to me. I didn't look around. I just wanted to figure out who was by my side, who was sleeping. Oh my gosh, who's there? I'm trying to do something. Alright, what was I saying? The only thing I was really conscious of was the person's arm around me. So, okay, the person who in question, who I'm talking about, is Norman. I don't know why, but I just really like him a lot. So of course that would be the person who I'd wake up to in my DR. I didn't, of course, like, my DR is following my script. I did make a script, but I didn't know where I wanted to wake up. So then the last thing I thought of before I went to sleep was thinking about waking up in my bed. And I remember just pulling my blankets really close, right? So I think that was why in my mind, unconsciously, I thought that I wanted to wake up next to someone in my DR because maybe I just wanted a hug. And that's what I got when I woke up. Well, I didn't really wake up. I was, you know how when you're so sleepy and then you hear something and you kind of wake up, but then you're just so tired that you immediately fall back asleep. That was what happened to me in my DR. So I just remember, so I was sleeping all nice and cozy in my bed in my dream reality, and 𝓏𝓫's arm was around me. I was trying to figure out who he was because I was like, who's this guy next to me? At first I thought it was my cousin because sometimes my cousin comes over to sleep with me just to hang out and all that kind of stuff. But then as soon as I felt the person's hand, I started thinking, wait a minute, this person is a bit older. Not really older, but his energy is different. I don't know if that really makes sense, but when you meet people, they give off a certain feel, so you understand unconsciously most of the time that that's not someone who you know, or it's just someone who makes you feel safe. In this case, with his arm around me and him just being so close, I felt so safe and I felt so comforted that he was just there for me. He was sleeping, so he didn't know that I was awake, but I was half awake, half asleep. So I remember pulling an arm around him too and feeling for his hand so that I could, kind of figure out who he is. And I don't know, he had soft hands. I don't know if I remember that, but his hands were just so soft. He was so quiet. I feel like he was about to wake up. But as soon as he started waking up, I started falling back asleep. So I just kind of closed my eyes and I was like, oh, okay, I'm safe. He's here with me. I have someone who's, cuddling really close. And by the way, in my current reality, I don't hug people. At all, pretty much. So for me to just sit there and accept that I have someone who's super duper close to me with his head practically buried in my shoulder and his arm really nicely wrapped around me, that was a huge jump for me because I don't hug people. I'm not openly affectionate with people. So that was kind of that was interesting for me because I don't do that stuff in my current reality. Yet with him, I allowed him to just sit there with me without me saying anything or feeling uncomfortable in any way. It just felt right. You know what I mean? And I've never been in any relationships or anything like that, so I wouldn't know how that feels. But in my dream reality, my desired reality, it just felt really right. It felt so nice. Oh my gosh. I will never forget that. I don't know. He just made me feel a certain way. And I've never felt that in this reality. So that's just how I knew that, okay, I've shifted. Okay, this is what's going on. It's just something that I knew happened without me fully doing it. I didn't use a method for this either. I just kept having naps throughout school, my school periods when I didn't have class. I kept having naps in between and waking up and then going back to sleep and waking up and going back to sleep. And that just, it kind of put me in the mindset of, okay, you're drowsy, you might as well do something because you're drowsy instead of just being drowsy for no reason. So that was what I unconsciously did because I didn't plan to shift. It was just as soon as my head hit the pillow and then I became conscious that I was dreaming, I was like, okay, might as well figure out a way to shift to my dream reality because I'm tired. Because on a regular day, I have so much trouble falling asleep. I don't really use a method anymore. I just say affirmations and try to fall asleep, but that doesn't really work for me because I have trouble sleeping. So in this moment, I was just like, okay, might as well do it. If I don't do it now, I'm not going to ever do it again because I'm probably not going to be able to fall asleep as easily. So that was what happened. And in a way, I feel like my body just unconsciously knew that that was what I wanted. So then that was what I got, and that's how I shifted. I didn't use any method whatsoever. I just did what felt right. It's a lot of people these days, especially, they want to follow guidelines. They want to make something that gives them a sure way to do something. But when it comes to something like shifting, you can't just rely on one thing. You have to take that step forward and independently think for yourself. You have to independently figure out a way that will give you the best results. You can't always rely on a single method or a single list of things that give you, okay, what is right, what is wrong, what is the best way to do it. Especially in shifting, there is no best way to do anything. So that's why I wanted to share this with you. I'm a bit disappointed though that I fell asleep in my DR instead of, waking up and exploring. It was just that I felt so comfortable though, and I just didn't want to wake up. But of course I shifted back and I did wake up here. And I had, I don't know what class I had. I had like English class after that, so. And for a while though, for about half the day, I forgot that I shifted because it just kind of felt like a memory. Like, okay, it happened, so why is it that important? But then as soon as the day kept passing and I started looking back on what I did, I realized, okay, I shifted. That wasn't just like a fragment of a memory. I was actually somewhere else. I wasn't in my bed like I thought. So it was it's not something that you think about because it feels so real because it is real. So then you don't really it doesn't register in your mind that, oh, that's not a memory. That's not a memory from your dream. It's something that actually happened. That took me a bit to realize because I don't know, it felt kind of surreal. Like, oh wow, that happened, but did it really happen at the same time? But as soon as you look back at it, you start realizing the little details. Okay, you shifted. It comes after a bit of thinking, but yeah. So back to what I was saying. This video is so unstructured. I'm so sorry. But back to the no method thing. I didn't script where I wanted to wake up. That was one thing. I didn't consciously say to myself before I fell asleep, I'm gonna shift. I didn't use napped in increments so that I would stay drowsy throughout the whole process. I think that's the key thing when it comes to shifting. If you're not drowsy, it becomes harder because then your brain and your mind, your mind and your body alike wants to stay awake because then you start thinking about something, and then from there it just kind of like keeps escalating until you're up all night thinking about what you want to do. And that's the issue. So that's why a lot of people, they tell you that it's best to use an alarm that wakes you up around like 1 to 5 in the morning so that you can like go back to sleep. And yeah, I have to say that does help a lot, but it might not always work for everyone because everyone is different, and that comes to shifting too. Because even though at first the Raven method did work really well for me, I started realizing that over time it didn't fit me. It didn't fit what I needed because I'm naturally not really good with thinking too much, because then I overthink so much that I just can't sleep at all. I can't fall asleep or all that kind of stuff. But anyway, oh my god, I will never forget how that felt. Oh my gosh. I've never felt so safe in my life. Oh jeez. If you do shift, not if, when you do shift, it will be such a great experience. But the only thing I want to remind you is that don't get too obsessed with it, because you still have to be grateful for this reality that you've been given, this place that you've been born in, because if you weren't born here, then you wouldn't have realized that shifting were a thing. Unless maybe you do get lucky in a different reality, but if you weren't here, then you wouldn't be watching this video, right? So always remember to be grateful for the life you have been given, even if it's not always perfect, even if it's a bit rough at times. Still, be thankful. So, oh my gosh, I'm so giddy right now because, okay, anyway, until next time, mata ne!